Greetings, this is Nzingo from Afriware Bookstore, and I'm so excited to be here with Miss Shaw, Miss Charlotte Shaw. This is her first book, Loving the Wrong Person, Top 10 Red Flags. And we're so happy to be here at the book signing today, and if you missed it, it was really a great time. I asked Miss Shaw if she would give us some highlights about her book and just talk about her inspiration. Um, Welcome,
Thank
greetings,
you.
Miss Shaw.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to come to Afriware Bookstore. Has been my pleasure, and I appreciate you from an independent owner standpoint to bring in us independent authors who have self-published our books to come in to share it with the communities around the Chicago area. So thank you so
You're
much for that
welcome, and thank
opportunity.
you for
Thank no,
calling
thank
us.
you. Well, Love the Wrong Person is really a book about self-help. Is a relationship book, and I really don't like to call it a relationship book because it really is about just ways to improve um, the way we evaluate and analyze ourselves and people. And there were 10 flags that I really concentrated on. But first, let me tell you how I kind of developed the flag. I did a survey of several hundred people over a course of maybe probably over 2 years, over a year, 2 years, and a lot of family and friends, and some strangers too, where I just asked a series of questions. And in asking those questions, I noticed that there were 10 flags that consistently came up over and over. And those 10 flags are included in that book. And I was able to prioritize them because I would see that some of the flags of those 10 came up a lot more than the other flags. And then there was one in particular that came up in just about every survey. And that was the number one flag, which is communication. But it really is a book about not lumping people as bad or wrong, but lumping behavior as bad or wrong. And then only each individual can really be the author of who and what is good or bad for that individual. But what we can do, although we may not want to lump people into a category as 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 wrong, we can lump characteristics that may be toxic or wrong for relationships. And that's not something I came up with. I think that's something that we all have come up with over being involved in a series of love relationships with various people. And this book really doesn't matter if you are looking for someone to get involved with, or someone you might be dating, or if you're already in a married situation. Because what I found in my research is that the red flags that we start off with when we're dating or getting to know somebody eventually become the marriage problems in the marriage. So I don't think we ever get away from the flags. You don't really ever get away from the flags because eventually they can become more serious problems. And that's one of the reasons we probably should not ignore the warning signals when we see them when we're getting to know someone or when we're involved in a relationship because, oftentimes, and this is not anything new, I just happen to be a person who listens well and I can write things down and decided to take all these experiences and write them down because the book has some stories in there from from people's lives. Those are the respondents who wanted to share their stories with me, and there were, tons of stories that came in over my internet and people that I talked directly to. But each flag has a story in the flag that kind of help you and understand the flag, and it demonstrates the kinds of things that people have experienced from experiencing those flags. So, for example, I talk about cheating, and there was a young lady who was involved with a guy for several years, I think over 10 years, and later found out that he also had another family on the other side of town for about the same length of time, and her kids that she had by this particular man she found out he also had another family with kids around the same age as her kids. So this guy was actually living a double life on two separate sides of town. And it finally came back to bite him, though, because as you know, when you're cheating, you're lying. And eventually what's in the dark will comes to the light. But it can take a while. And after taking a while, it can also hurt. And that's when it becomes devastating in a love relationship to be involved with somebody who hasn't been very honest. So I was inspired by writing the book because my heart was broken at one point, and I wanted to, figure this thing out. This thing called love. I mean, how do we transcend in love and be honest about it and be loving about it and caring about it? And we want that same kind of person in our lives as well. We want somebody we can trust and somebody we can love and somebody we don't have to worry about people who are experiencing these flags in the back end, and we're in the front end thinking something different. So, it's a really, I think it's a good book. It's done well. We have another book signing here in Chicago. So my Chicago visit this weekend has been awesome, has been great. We have some upcoming book signings, but you can reach me on my website at www.arthurcshaw.com. And that's www.arthurcshaw.com. And by all means, encourage your readers and your friends and your family to purchase this book. Again, I've got a lot of parents who are actually buying this book for their kids, for their teenage kids. Yeah, because it really does kind of give the signals and the warnings, the things to look out for, stuff we know about, but we really don't. We don't pay attention to them. We tend to ignore those things we really don't want to see. Although we know we need to look at them, we really don't want to look at them because when we look at them, we know we have to make a decision around the things that we see that are not healthy. So, again, I appreciate your time. If you have any questions, I'll be.
This is so awesome. I really like that you're taking an approach that is not pointing the finger at one gender or the other.
No, not at all.
And it's just characterized. I think that's really healthy. That's something we all can, contribute around.
Exactly.
Because otherwise, it's just very divisive.
Yeah.
And we need to come together and figure this thing out and make things work.
Absolutely.
I mean, some people work for some and not for others.
That's true.
So
That's right.
once you know what it is you're looking for, then this helps to clarify that by asking those hard questions.
Yeah, that's true. That's what I'm finding. Everybody wants to get along. Everybody wants to really, and it's not. There's no gender bias in this book because relationships really, men hurt like women hurt, women hurt like men hurt. So there's not really a difference. What I found, everybody really wants to get along. It's just how we do that. How do we get along without
in a humane way,
in a caring and loving way?
Exactly. Right. It doesn't have to be fist fighting.
Exactly. Our name calling.
Right.
That's right. That's true. But there are some people who are going to exhibit bad behavior, and those are the kinds of people that we need to really be watchful for when we get involved with them. Because how your mom used to say, "Be careful who you have kids by." Back when you were young, because really there's some truth to that. You want to be careful who you allow into your life to give your heart to. Because your heart is the wellspring of life, and if it's toxic, then that's the kind of life you live. So it's important that I think we recognize and be honest about what we see when we see that in people.
Everything matters. Everything matters. So, wow. Okay, I want to encourage everyone, come on out to Afriware or visit her website, support Ms. Shaw, up-and-coming artist, author. We need to support local authors, especially those who are supporting the community. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.